NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series Championship race officially concluded from Phoenix Raceway, and Ty Majeski has held off and dominated and has picked up his first ever NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series Championship. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. I just got done watching NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series Championship race from Phoenix Raceway. We got quite a bit to talk about from this race. Let's go and talk about it. Let's first begin by talking about the champion, Ty Majeski. Ty Majeski put up an absolute dominant performance tonight. Had the best truck all night long. Led 125 or 130 laps. He was pretty much untouched all night long. His only major threat and contender all night long for championship-wise was really Cory Heim. And Cory Heim did lead a few laps tonight, but that number 98 truck was really hooked up all night long, and he put together an absolutely dominant performance. He had to hold off on restarts. There was strategy going on behind him. Guys like Christian Neckes and Grant Infinger, who really were never major factors in this race all night. They tried to play some outside strategy, but they just never had the pace and speed for Ty Majeski. I think a lot of people coming into this saw Ty Majeski was going to have a chance to win the championship because Ty Majeski has been seriously very, very good at Phoenix in the past, and also Ty Majeski's been really, really good at these shorter ovals. I go back to Milwaukee, where he finished in second. He won an IRP earlier in the year, and he also, of course, did end up winning at Richmond a couple weeks later. Ty Majeski is a short track ace, but he's also been very solid at other types of tracks throughout the year. I go back to Kansas a couple weeks ago, had Field been able to stay in that truck, he might have beat Cory Heim that day. And you think about some of the other races, he finished second at Homestead and ran pretty good at Martinsville and could have won that race as well. And I go back many years ago, back in 2018, when he drove that cursed number 60 car for Roush, when they had Chase Briscoe, Austin, and him driving that car. And it was a disastrous year in 2018, and he was so hyped up at the time. He was a prospect. And then he just kind of left the sport for a little bit and then came back in 2020 and drove for Nice. And that was a little bit of a struggle. And then he got his opportunity with ThorSport and was able to come in just a few years later, won some truck races with the 6.6 truck in 2022, won at Bristol and Homestead. And then in 2023, he was able, I believe I remember correctly, made it to the championship 4 and ran really solid that entire year. And I think about what Ty Majeski has accomplished this year. And I think it's really cool to see someone from the short track scene, and not too long ago was struggling. See him 3 years later after getting an opportunity with ThorSport. He's taken that chance and opportunity and got his first championship. So massive congratulations to Ty Majeski on winning the championship. An absolute dominant performance for him tonight. I think if you look at the race itself, it was well deserved. And at least he was in contention all year. He was third in the regular season standings for most of the year. He's not the most deserving guy in my opinion, but he put together a really strong year for himself. Let's move on to talk about the second highest finisher, Cory Heim. Cory Heim finished second, just missed out on the championship. He's my championship pick going into this race. I really thought Cory Heim was going to win the race tonight, and it looked like early in this race, Cory Heim had the best truck in the field, especially on the long run. He's the only one that could keep up with Ty Majeski all night long. However, they lost handling on that truck in the second run of the race. They had that restart violation too, a little bit controversial, but they recovered very quickly after the restart violation, and I thought he was going to have a chance and opportunity to get up there and challenge Ty Majeski, but he just didn't have the pace and speed to keep up with Ty, but still a really good year for Cory. I know he's disappointed. He probably should have almost won the championship. He was very strong this year, won the most races. Disappointed to see him not win the championship. Disappointed he couldn't get it done, but he'll have another opportunity. Remember, he's returning to Tricon Garage next year, but he did have a very strong run tonight, finishing in second. Christian Neckes finished third. Probably the biggest disappointment of the 4 drivers, in my opinion. I really thought, especially with how fast Christian was last year at this race, I really thought Christian was going to be the guy to beat, and he never had the pace and speed. He had to play outside strategies, have a chance and opportunity to get it done. But I think he was the most deserving driver to win the championship. Personally, I think he was the best driver all year. I thought there was going to be some shenanigans between him and Taylor Gray. That was good that nothing happened there. I guess Taylor kind of forgot and didn't want to do anything stupid, which I can't personally blame him for that. But Christian Neckes just didn't get a championship done. I think he's been the best guy all year. It's disappointing to see him not win the championship, but he'll go up to Xfinity next year, Colleague Racing. He probably won't be racing any truck races next year. He didn't get it done this year, but it's still a very solid year. And his crew chief, Charles Deneke, of course, is moving up to work at Bubba Walls. So a really strong year for him. And then he had Grant Infinger. I think Grant was the weakest truck most of the night. He just never had the speed. That 9 truck just never was contending. He had top 10 speed, but I thought after 2 weeks and having that advantage on pit road, I really thought they were going to be a threat, and they just never brought the speed tonight. They were never major factors and contenders. Just a really disappointing ending for Grant Infinger. He finished, I believe, in 5th. Still a solid finish for him, but going in next year, they'll be looking to win a championship. I think they've got more confidence going into next year, but not enough to get it done tonight. There's a lot of chaos that happened in this race. You obviously had some big wreck. You had that big one that happened when Christian might have caused it. I'm not entirely sure. You had Connor Mosack getting the outside wall. He came down the racetrack, collected guys like William Sawalich, Frankie Muniz, who was limping out of the truck, but Frankie seemed fine speaking to people after the race concluded. Other drivers like, I believe, Andres Perez, who might be with Spire next year. He'll be looking to be with the team. And then, of course, some other drivers got collected in that. You had Connor Jones spinning early. Frankie nearly got Cory Heim early in this race. He had some big wrecks and incidents, but compared to last year's championship race, while still was very chaotic in the middle portion, at least unlike last year's race, I gotta say, it did not devolve into chaos. But this race, I'm going to be real and honest, pretty boring if you ask me. One of the more boring races. It did have good moments for sure, for maybe a few laps between Heim and Majeski, but outside of a couple good battles between those two, the race was kind of boring. I'll probably give this race a score, probably a 5 or 6 out of 10. It just was not very intriguing, to be honest, and the broadcast really didn't help that either. The broadcast tonight was absolutely atrocious. They weren't at the racetrack. There were so many commercials. They had full screen commercials and side-by-side commercials. They had a side-by-side commercial with less than 20 to go. I'm sorry, there shouldn't be as many commercials as there were tonight. It was a terrible broadcast from Fox standards, and they really need to clean it up going forward, in my opinion. Obviously, there's things we could say about the format, how we decide champions and whatnot, but I'm not going to complain as much tonight about it, because I think Majeski, while he wasn't the most deserving driver to win the championship, it's a kind of a really cool underdog story from a few years ago. I know he's been one of the best drivers in trucks, but Ty Majeski's been a good driver. He's been a competitor the last couple of years, and it is pretty cool to see Ty Majeski get the chance and opportunity and finally get it done. So massive congratulations, Ty Majeski, on winning his first ever Truck Series championship and winning the race as well. Gets his 3rd win of the year, picks up his 6th career Truck Series victory. It's really cool to see him get that chance and opportunity. Massive congratulations to him on winning his first ever Truck Series championship here. Good to see him get it done and go to victory lane. So, that is going to be our tonight's special episode on talking about the championship. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, notifications on, so if I win a video, it does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. Let's go below that and comment your thoughts below on today's episode. What are your thoughts about today's race and today's championship? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and congratulate Ty Majeski on picking up the championship. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Tomorrow on the channel, we will basically have reactions to Cup Series qualifying, maybe reactions to Xfinity Series qualifying as well. We'll have the Xfinity Series Championship talk, and we'll also have a Shane Van Gisbergen video talking about tomorrow's forms in his all-around year so far. And then, of course, we'll also have the Cup race review, and, of course, the Cup Championship video and the starting lineup video for that as well. We got a lot of great content dropping this weekend. We're going to talk about drivers potentially like Haley Dean, Kurt Busch, Carl Edwards. We'll talk about the 2311 front row lawsuit again later this week. Kyle Larson, Kyle Busch, you name it this week. And we'll talk, and Chase Elliott too, and also the championship contenders in Cup. We've got a lot of great content dropping this week for you guys to watch over throughout, and you'll see that throughout the next couple of days as we do go to the final 2 races of the year before the season officially ends up closing up. So anyways, like I said, I want to thank you guys, and Haley Dean too. So anyways, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode, and I'll see you guys next time for more great, awesome NASCAR content and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.